Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to render items on top of the blocks. And let's say, for example, if you want to make an incubator, or if you want to make just an item display or something like that, this is the technique you will want to use. So first things first, you will have to have your actual block that will be used for this kind of task. Uh, as you can see here, I have set these textures here from the default Minecraft textures, but you can place here whatever you want. You can select whatever texture you prefer. Everything here you can change to whatever you want. Every settings. In this tab here you can change to whatever you want. This tab here as well. Um, this tab here you can change whatever you want. Here you can change the name. Here you can place whatever you want in this tab right here. Nothing will affect this tutorial. This tab here the same, change it whatever you want. This is the actual important step that you need to pay attention. First, you will have to enable tile entity here in the block, and then we will need to set it to at least 1 in this tab right here, in this slot right here. You cannot leave it at 0, but you can have more than 1, but you have to have at least 1 here. All the settings you can change whatever you want here, but leave at least 1 slot. This tab here you can change it whatever you want. This tab here you can change it whatever you want here. And this tab as well you can change whatever you want. The only thing that's actually important is that you have to change here on block, right click it. You need to create this procedure here to actually insert the item in the block. So as you can see here, the bottom one here is if the player is pressing shift, it will remove the items from the block and set it to 0, and then it will take everything that's inside of the block and it will add to the player's inventory. And the other two above is to actually add the item to the block, the item that the player is actually holding. These two add the item to the block, and this one remove the items from the block and add it to the player's inventory. Alright, this is how I've done it. And then you select it here, because then it will work. You can save it here, and then now let's go to the most important part of this tutorial, which is to render the actual item on top of the block. And to do this, you need to select a global trigger here that is called graphics render road. Right, you select it here, and then you can go to the world rendered plugin, and then you come here and select this iterate renderable blocks here, and then you attach it here to the global trigger. What this is going to do is that it is going to search for every single block that has a block entity that can be rendered. And then to specify what block that we want it to find, we just need to add an if statement here and select our block. And then once this block iterator finds our block that we have specified here, what is it going to do? It is going to render our item. The item that is inside of the slot 0 of this block here that this iterator has found. So this is why you need, because this block iterator is going to find our block, because this is what this block is going to do, right? It is going to search for this block here, and then once it finds it, it will store its coordinates in this X, Y, and Z positions here. This is why you need to place it here, because if you look at the original block, As you can see here, there is only X, Y, and Z, but this is not what you want. What you want is these ones here, because they have the coordinates of the block that this block here has found. Alright, this is why you need to change it in this item block here. This section right here is to set the position where the item is going to be rendered. In our case, we want to render the item on top of the block, right, above the block. So this is why I have set Y plus 1.5, which is going to make the item to render on top of the block, above it, floating in the air. And then we need to adjust the X and Z positions to be plus 0.5 so the item can be rendered on the middle of the block. Otherwise, it is going to be rendered in the corner of the block. If we leave it 0 like this, it is going to render on the corner of the block. So this is why we need to add 0.5. And this section right here is to determine the rotation of the item that is going to be rendered. You can set it to whatever you want. You can change it like this. You can leave the number right here if you want. You can even create like an NBT number data somewhere else outside of this procedure, because you cannot change the NBT data here inside of this rendering procedure. But you can do is to use the data of this NBT tag that is being manipulated outside of this procedure. You can use this data here inside of this procedure. So let's say for example, let's say you have created an NBT data that is called, I don't know, rotation or block rotation here. And then let's say you are creating this data outside of this procedure, and then you can use this data that is being generated outside of this procedure. You can use it here, because once you have placed this here, this number is going to be the rotation on the y-axis of this item. So you can set this NBT data outside of this procedure and use it here. But in our case, what we want is to take the yaw of the camera, because this is the direction that the camera is looking at. The yaw rotates the y-axis of the camera, so this is why we are using it, which means the item is going to be rotated towards the camera. This is why we are adding this 180 number here, because if we leave it like this, the item is going to be facing the same direction that the camera is facing, which means that the item is going to face away the camera. So we want the item to face towards the camera. We want to face the camera, looking at the camera. This is why we add this 180 degrees here. This one here is to set the scale of the item. I have set it to 0.5 because if I leave it at 1, the item is going to be too big for me. This is just personal preference. You can leave it however you want. And this one here is to rotate the item on the x-axis. The yaw rotates in the y-axis. The pitch rotates in the x-axis. So it is going to make the item look down or upwards. If we leave it like 90 degrees, it is going to look up. If we leave it like if we type here like minus 90, it is going to be facing downwards all the time. So this is why we leave it 0 here, because then it is going to look forward. And this one here, it will rotate the item like this or like this. like sideways in the z-axis, you know, it rotates in the z-axis. So these three here, you can set it to whatever you want. But these two here, I don't know what they do. I never tried them before, so I don't know what they do. So this is a simple rendering procedure that you can make to render your item on top of the block that you select here. Alright, so now you can save and let's play to see how it works. So I forgot to add one more verification here, because this step is verifying if the item that's already inside the block is the same item that the player is holding. But we also need to add a verification in the case that there is no item inside of the block, which is this one here. This is why we need to add the verification, because in that case, in both cases, it will add items to the block, right? Otherwise, it will only add the items that match the item that the player is holding. So now let's play it and let's see how it works. So now I'm here inside of the game. Let's place the block here on the ground so we can see how it works. The block is here, is the same that we have created. As you can see on the top right there, there is no item inside of the block, but once we add it, the item is going to be rendered on top of it. As you can see, it is floating in the air, and on the top right there, you can see that there is a redstone torch inside of the block. So this is why it is being rendered, and we can keep adding it. It is going to render what's inside of the block. This is just a representative of what's inside of the block. And then once we shift right click, it is going to remove the item from the block, and as you can see on the top, there is no item in the block. Let's select some other items here. As you can see, this one here. As you can see, it is always going to face the camera, but it is going to be rotating only on the y-axis, because this is what we have set there in the code. It is not rotate on the x-axis, but only in the y-axis. And then if we remove it, it is going to stop to render. But you can pretty much place whatever you want here inside of this block. Let's see this one, and there's no limitations for what kind of item that can be placed inside of this block, right? You can set the limitations, but in our case I haven't set it, because this is just an example, right? This is just so you can understand what you can do, because from this point forward you can do pretty much whatever you like, and then you can use your imagination to change stuff. Like you can render on the side of the block, on the top of the block. You can pretty much do whatever you want with this technique. I hope you find it very useful for your case. And this is what I have to show you here today in this tutorial. So if you like it, please leave a like, and you can also leave your questions in the comment section. But keep in mind that I am using the 2024.4. I don't know how to use it in other versions. I haven't tried it, but in this version, this is how you do it. Alright, I hope you have liked it, and I'll see you next time. See you later.